and welcome to episode 74 of the Lonely Knitter podcast. My name is Laura and I will be your host. Today is Wednesday, the 14th of July 2021, if you're watching this far off in the future, and I have not recorded a podcast for a while, so none of this is coming naturally to me. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much for coming over to join me. I am from the most easterly town in England, and I live here with my husband, my 4-year-old daughter, my 1-year-old son, and my very elderly cat. I am the Lonely Knitter on Instagram. You can find my patterns on Ravelry and also on my website. Some of them I will be uploading more. I will of them soon. And my website is craftersbalm.co.uk, and I also dye yarn as Bumbling Yarns. And yeah, the best place to find me is definitely Instagram, where I am the Lonely Knitter. So it's been a while since I have come here to chat about my knitting. A lot has gone on. First of all, I was struggling to feel like I could come and podcast, because since I am now working within our community as a yarn dyer, balm maker, sometimes pattern designer, and this is now my be all and end all in terms of income, I don't know, a big part of me felt like it was really bad to come on here and podcast, which is something I have always done just for fun, when I should be getting orders out and, you know, getting things done that are work related. When they I don't want to leave anyone outstanding. I don't want anyone to sit there thinking that I am having a great fun time podcasting when I should be getting their orders out. I've had a chat with a few friends who've said you need to take a little bit of downtime, but also I am quite caught up on orders right now, so it's okay. But I'm gonna give you a quick run through of what I've been working on, and I have brought one piece of stash enhancement with me for this podcast because I have quite a few which I will be showing throughout the next few episodes. But I will be telling you all about what happened with me. There was a bit of a palaver where I was in hospital for quite a while and had a few health problems, and so many of you have been so wonderful to me over on Instagram, so understanding when it came to my business, people who had to wait for orders. I can't thank you enough, and so I will give you a little bit of an update after we have done a little bit of knitting chat. So I am gonna crack right in with whips. I have decided to actually finish some of my outstanding whips, and I actually finished a Love Note sweater earlier this week, end of last week, but I haven't blocked it yet, and I'm going to bring it up in possibly the next episode, only because with work and the children and the fact that the summer holidays is now about to start here and Ellie won't be in nursery 3 days a week, it's probably going to be light on finished objects for a while, so I'm saving that one till next time. So we'll just jump into whips. I have this book. I'm sure I will have shown you this before, but if I haven't, here we go. The Strands of Joy book by Anna Johanna. And I bought it from my lovely friend Georgie, who is the fibre fox. She was stocking these books, and I decided to knit the Sprout sweater, which is this gorgeous one. It's a cropped sweater, and I am going to put short sleeves on it instead of long ones, and I love it. And I cast it on and started knitting on it early this year, and then put it down for a few months. You cast on, it's top down. I cast on, it's got this gorgeous folded over neckband, and then I knit to the colour work at the end of the colour work and went, that was the best bit ever, and then I put it down and picked up something else because I have the attention span of a gnat. But now I am actually going to try and finish some of my things. I'm sure I've said that a million times before. We shall see. But this last week I picked it back up and finished working the body, and have now finished the colourwork at the bottom of the body, and I am on the 1x1 twisted rib, which is going on forever at the bottom of the body, and then it'll just be little short sleeves, so it's really not going to be a huge amount. I'm hoping it will block out quite a bit more, because right now it's going to be quite fitted, so we shall see. But yeah, I absolutely love this colourwork, and these are two of my colourways. These were some experimental colourways. That's quite a similar one, but I went a little darker with this, and this is a very light pink. It looks like a natural, but it's a very, very light pink, so yay. That has been getting some love, and it is living in one of these tote bags. So it's Bumbling Yarns yarn, and the idea is that I will potentially knit up a little bit more and it'll actually be a sample, dye up a little bit more and it'll actually be a sample, and it's living in one of the totes that I was selling earlier this year. So the only other thing that I have brought to show you that I have been working on, because I really haven't been working on tons, is a little sample of self-striping yarn. So I dye self-striping yarn, and I had bought some new equipment, so I'm now dyeing more stripes, because before it was sort of a maximum of 2 stripers. So this is one of my 4 stripe colourways, and this one is Into the Woods, and I just thought I would knit a few samples from some little mini skeins that I dyed up. This is me, and yeah, and they're like little pockets, so the idea being that I will hang them as samples with the yarn when I go to shows, and have a little tag tucked inside with the details. So this one is pretty much done now. I just need to do a 3 needle bind off and weave in the edges. But I have been debating as well putting this up in the shop as a pre-order, because I sold out of all of the ones that I had dyed of both of these. Yeah, I was considering putting them up as a pre-order. This one I think would also look quite Christmassy with a red mini skein. I had someone buy it with that for when they were in stock as a Christmassy yarn. But yeah, Into the Woods, and this is me. So those are nearly done, and then I will try and do that for all of my repeatable self-striping colourways as they come up. But I just dyed a little 20-gram mini of that so that I had enough to do that little one. So that's everything that I've been working on in the last few days. As I said, I will show you more things that I've been working on over the last few months as we get back into podcasting. But I really wanted this to just be a short little episode where I give you a bit of an update about what's been going on, what's been happening in my life, and why I have been a little absent. But of course, I couldn't not have knitting content, because what? So last thing, let's go on to stash enhancement. God, we are ploughing through. It really will be just a short episode because I'm really tired. It's really late and I just wanted to get back in the swing. So if you want to look back at older episodes, longer episodes, that's normally where I about am. So I brought out with me this is Lay Family Yarns Rainbow Chronicles mini bundle for September. I am collecting these throughout this year to make a crochet blanket, which I'm woefully behind on, but I'm still collecting them because then I'll have all of them by the end of the year and it'll happen eventually. But it's this gorgeous set. Lay Family Yarn, the wonderful Kelly and family, and yeah, it's gorgeous. So this one is going into my stash, and slowly I will get through them as part of a crochet blanket, which I will bring in to show you on the next podcast. So that is everything for stash enhancement. I have had more things, but I will be bringing them out slowly as I get back into weekly podcasting, and it is a promise that there will be another podcast next week. I will be getting back into it properly because I love it and I miss it, and I think it's something that I would really like to keep putting time into. Could have put some makeup on, didn't make that much of an effort, did I? Okay, last thing before I start talking about life stuff is a quick little shop announcement. So everything that you see here is currently in the shop, but I have just this minute put Self-Striping Sock Club up. So if you don't know already, I run a couple of clubs throughout the year. Well, actually I run 3 clubs throughout the year. The first one is my Scrappy Blanket Club. I don't really call it the Blanket Club anymore, just Scrappy Club. And you get 10 colourways every month, 5 gram, 10 gram or 20 grams of each one. So a nice range, starting at just £12 if you get the 5 gram pack. And it's based around TV shows. So at the moment, sign-ups are open for August, which is themed around The Walking Dead. It's not a subscription, it's a dip in and out whenever you want, sign up when you can afford it, when you fancy it, if it's a TV show you really love, and you get 10 colourways and a coordinating stitch marker. So that's one of the clubs. One of the other clubs is my sock club. So my sock club, you get a skein of sock yarn dyed with the theme of a musical. So it's different musicals that I love, and that one is running every other month starting from February. So it's running in the even months throughout the year, so that one won't be coming up again until next month. And the last one is my Self-Striping Sock Yarn Club. So this is the current installment that I have just uploaded, and it is 100 grams of sock yarn, and then you can choose if you would just like this, the 100 grams, or you can have a pink mini, a blue mini, or you can even have both. That is also an option on the website at the moment, and these are available for 2 months. So like this one will be available for July and August, and that is it. And then I won't be bringing it back. And then a new one will be put up in September. Anyway, I think that was everything I've sped through like a crazy person. I just really wanted to get a little update out before I went to bed, and it is already 10:05. So I'm gonna tell you guys what happened to me for me to fall off the face of the earth for a little while. Okay, so some of you may know that I had gallstones. I have been suffering with gallstones for about 1.5 years. And I went to hospital with really bad pain, just into A&E with pain that I could not manage at home and that wasn't stopping. And they said that they would try and get me in for emergency surgery to remove my gallbladder that week. I've been on the list for a long time to get my gallbladder removed, but COVID, things have been chaotic obviously for the NHS, and you know, no blame at all, no blame. So I went home after they got my pain under control, and they were hopeful to get me back in for surgery quite soon, but they were also just sort of thinking, we're managing this right now, so let's just see how she lasts. Well, then a day later I was back in A&E with the same issue again, absolutely agonising, could not manage it. And I've been managing this for over a year. I normally manage it with painkillers at home and rocking backwards and forwards on the floor. It was the worst pain of my life. It was worse than a failed induction and an emergency cesarean. Worst pain of my life. And I went back in and they said that I had to have my gallbladder removed straight away. So I stayed in. I was quite late at night and I stayed in, and they did it first thing in the morning. I had my gallbladder removed, and 2 days later I went home happy as Larry. I was so happy because I had finally had my gallbladder removed. I felt okay, and everything was good. And over the next couple of days I got really ill. I was in worse pain than I was before. I was vomiting. I was very, very ill. It was scaring my children and my husband. So it was just, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Went back to A&E. I had an infection. I was readmitted. It took them a few days for me to be able to have an MRI slot. I had a CT scan first, and then I had an MRI, and there was a gallstone left behind in the tube that goes along to a liver, apparently. And so yeah, that is a risk of this surgery, that they can still, like, it flares up because there's a gallstone stuck, and then they remove the gallbladder, but that gallstone was still stuck. So that's what happened to me. And there was a build-up of fluid behind the gallstone, and it caused an infection, which led to sepsis. I did not know that I had tested positive for sepsis until after I left hospital, when I was having a chat with the consultant on the phone. apparently they told me on the second day. I went septic while I was in hospital, and they caught it immediately. I was already on IV antibiotics. They put me on a whole bunch more IV antibiotics. There are multiple days from the hospital that I don't remember at all. There are multiple days I remember being in so much pain that I was just screaming. I have never been through anything like it in my life, and I can't go to sleep at night without having nightmares about it. So hopefully that finishes soon. Yeah, it was scary. So I was in hospital then for 2.5 weeks, or just over 2.5 weeks. And I had to wait because they don't do the endoscopy that I needed to have. So they went down my throat, all the way down to like down here. And then they cut into the tube where the gallstone was stuck, and they pull the gallstone out from the outside of that tube. So I had to wait quite a long time to have that done, because I kept getting cancelled because there isn't a current endoscopy unit at my hospital. It's done as a clinic 2 days a week, and they get very busy. So I had to stay in hospital. So I was still trying to get over all these infections. They were trying to manage the infections, because I wasn't going to get over them whilst the gallstone was stuck, because it was constantly causing a build-up. So yeah, that was my TMI. Too much information about everything that's been going on with me. But I had an amazing amount of support. On the days that I do remember being in there, I remember getting so many messages. I have so many wonderful customers who waited so patiently for their orders. The June Scrappy Blanket Club, I have never sent out Scrappy Blanket Club late before. It ships by the end of each month, and the June one, which was Outlander, that one didn't ship until the 12th of July, which I felt awful about, but everyone was so kind and so nice. I only had a few people who, after hearing about everything, said that they would rather have their money back, and when I popped those spares up on the website afterwards, they sold out straight away. So I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. I popped a lot of things up on the website when I came out, because while I was in the hospital, I missed Yorkshire Yarn Fest, so the online festival for July that I was meant to be taking part in. So I had a lot of stock prepped for that. I missed my 31st birthday. Don't really have any memory of my birthday, other than my dad coming in. So I remember that I had agreed in advance with Chris that we weren't going to do my birthday until we got home, and we would, because the kids were excited, like Ellie was excited to open presents with me and things like that. So we were like, yeah, because they couldn't come in at that point. Yep, we'll wait until I come home. But my dad came in with a bag full of presents and a bright pink birthday helium balloon, which then stayed with me next to my bed for the next 2 weeks. Yeah, it was, that's through everything. That balloon was right there next to my head. Yeah, so I had, 3 weeks where I couldn't work, and I was on my own for most of it, and worried about my kids, worried about my husband, worried about my work, worried about everything. And I just had an overwhelming amount of love from every corner. Everyone was so kind, and really made me feel like I wasn't on my own. And there were a few times when I felt so lonely, and in those moments I turned to Instagram and just got bombarded with love. So I'm so grateful, and thank you so much, everyone that has supported me and just been kind and lovely while I have been struggling. But I'm back, and I don't have a gallbladder anymore, so that won't be giving me any issues. I have had a really lovely last week. I have managed, on the 2 days that I was child free, I have managed to plough through all of the outstanding bits and bobs that I wanted to get done, lots of things that were postponed because of hospital. And on Sunday I managed to get over to a campsite, which is about an hour and 20 minutes away from here, to see my lovely friend Sharon of the SCL1 TNO podcast. I recommended them a campsite to her and her husband when I was staying with them, and they took me up on it, and it's an hour and 20 minutes away, so that's a lot closer than where she lives. So I ran over there for a few hours on Sunday and just sat and chatted constantly. I don't think I shut up the entire time. I probably left and she probably went, phew. Yeah, so I think that's everything. That's my big update of, I'm so sorry, I've not been around. I've had quite a lot going on. If I'm honest, for the last 6 months, the gallstone attacks have been getting worse and worse, and I have been getting more and more scared living with them. Scared of when they'll next happen. And they quite often were happening without me eating the foods that would originally trigger them. So I know that I had a lot of gallstones, but they were all teeny tiny. But yeah, so I had a phone call last week from the consultant and then another one from my GP, so I've spoken to both of them now. And I was just explaining that I'm still so exhausted and feeling quite fatigued, quite achy, just not right in myself. And yeah, that's when he said recovery from sepsis is hard. And I was like, I didn't have sepsis. It was just a very high risk of sepsis, I think, because of what was going on. And he was like, no, that was the second day that you were in, that you were, you did a blood test and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and I'm glad I didn't know until I got out of hospital, because I think I would have been really scared if I had known. So I'm still on antibiotics now, another course, just because I've been going back for more I keep going back for blood tests and they keep saying, let's have another look. So let's have another go with more antibiotics. But we're getting there. I definitely feel a million times better than I did when I was in hospital. And yeah, hopefully as it becomes more and more of a distant memory, I will forget about it and how horrible it was. That would be nice. Anyway, now I really am just gabbing about myself, and there was barely any knitting content in this podcast. It was basically just a little update because I really want to get back into this. But it was light, but I had promised myself that I would do it today. And if I keep putting it off, I know I'm going to chicken out, because I get the whole imposter syndrome, and then I get the whole, no one wants to watch your podcast, and like, yeah. So I just thought, let's just get chatting to all my lovely friends and all my lovely people who come here who are not yet friends but soon will be. And just, yeah, get chatting again and get back to me, because I am very ready to. Yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you so much if you have watched me garble for 23 minutes. At least it wasn't a really long one. But yeah, thank you, and I will try and make sure that I podcast every week and we really get back into this. I've got some really exciting things coming up. I am going to some shows. That is one of the things that I was very busy with earlier this year. I've ended at Unravel in Farnham, and I have another couple of shows now coming up later this year, so I hope to actually see some of you in person, which will be absolutely crazy, because after the year that COVID has been, or year and a half that COVID has been, it feels bizarre to be seeing people. I am fully vaccinated. If you are able to get a vaccine, get your vaccines, because I would like life to come back to normal. Yeah, so thanks for watching if you've got all this way through, and thank you as always for making me so much less of a lonely knitter.